Hi, my name is Rain, and you're watching wowacoolusername. I was thinking about it, and I was like, how is it possible that Principal Scudworth got Jesus Christ? Because Jesus is, I'm not going to say he's real, and I'm not going to say he's not, but he's in the sky. He's in heaven right now. You shouldn't be able to get his DNA. So I thought, well, what about the other clones? Would it be hard to get some of the other clones as well? So I looked through the entire list of all the clones in Clone High, and then I googled where are they buried. And some of them, holy moly, how on earth did this man get their remains to even get a semblance of their DNA? Let's preface this by saying if somebody's cremated, their ashes are useless because they don't contain DNA, but the bones and teeth that could have possibly have been saved could hold some DNA for analysis. Fire, however, can damage DNA beyond recognition. How much you're able to identify through DNA testing on burnt remains varies from situation to situation. Most likely, you won't be able to get some of the ones from those who were cremated. And under favorable conditions, DNA can survive for thousands of years in the remains of a dead organism. The DNA extracted from such remains is invariably degraded to a small average size by processes that at least partly involve depurination. So you can essentially still get their DNA if they weren't cremated and they're buried and it's under like the perfect conditions or whatever. It's possible to get some of these people if you really, really looked for them. There's a lot of people who were just buried, and that would be easy to find. Like Abe Lincoln, the Bronte sisters were all buried near each other. Confucius was buried somewhere in China. Frida Kahlo was buried in Mexico. George Washington and George Washington Carver, all easily found. Groucho Marx, Harriet Tubman, Henry VIII, Isaac Newton, Kublai Khan, JFK, Jimi Hendrix, John Quincy Adams, John Wayne, Julius Caesar, Marie Antoinette, Marie Curie, Marilyn Monroe, Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, Napoleon, Nostradamus, Paul Revere, Pocahontas, Sacagawea, Susan B. Anthony, Thomas Edison, Van Gogh, William Shakespeare, Winston Churchill. All these people are they're 100% buried somewhere and they can be found. And so it's without a doubt, hey, Principal Scudworth looked where they were, he searched, and he was like, okay, get their remains. Not that difficult. All it does is take a little bit of traveling and some research. There are a few that most likely are not possible, like Cleopatra, because she's in supposedly tomb of Antony, her husband, and Cleopatra is the undiscovered burial crypt of Mark Antony and Cleopatra VII from 30 BC, assumed to be located near Alexandria, Egypt. It hasn't been found yet. So hypothetically, if you really, really tried and you triangulated their locations, you could find it. But most likely, he did not. Another character like that would be Genghis Khan. Where he was buried remains undiscovered, although it is generally believed that it is near the Mongol sacred mountains of Burkhan Khaldun in the Khenti Mountains. So, again, if you really tried and you cross-referenced sources and you really, really looked, you would be able to find him. Another one is Moses, who is supposedly buried in the valley of the land of Moab. Again, if you really, 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 really tried, you'd be able to find him. Because supposedly he's buried. Wasn't terribly long ago, I would suppose. 8,000 years. Maybe it survives. Who knows? I'm not a DNA expert, even though I love DNA. A lot of these people that aren't found yet, but could hypothetically be found because of where they supposedly are, you could just look through documents and documents and documents if you really, really, really want to find this person. And you search and you dig and you unbury and you look constantly because he's Principal Scudworth. He's definitely crazy. I'm going to say this. He definitely tried his best to look for these folks. I have a list of people under no circumstances we could find. Without trying, we would not be able to find them. Amelia Earhart, pretty positive. She is still missing. She went missing somewhere near the Bermuda Triangle, I believe. We would not be able to find her. Principal Scudworth would not be able to find her because it's the ocean. That's a big, vast area. Supposedly she went missing near some sort of island and never returned. There are so many stories, so many myths about where she could have possibly gone. All the stories mixed together and meld, and all of a sudden it just does not make sense, and you would not be able to find her because it wasn't even that long ago, so of course we won't be able to find her if we can't find her now. Jesus Christ, he rose from the dead. So he died once, but then he rose from the dead, which according to the Bible is what happened, and it's been recorded in the Bible. So We have that historical document. It is believed to be fact. Basically, the story goes that eventually he went back and rose up to heaven again to be with God, his Father. So again, there would be nothing left of that was buried for anybody to find. Essentially, there are no remains of Jesus Christ on earth, but possibly there might be. The Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is an artifact, not just in Monty Python, by the way, but that is a good movie, that supposedly, when the soldiers poked Jesus' side with a spear, someone took this cup and collected the blood that spilled out of him. And the myth and the legend is, if you drink from this cup, you will gain eternal life. Supposedly, the Holy Grail has been lost to time, and that's why people are searching for it, because they want eternal life, which has been something people have been searching for thousands and thousands of years. Doesn't sound ideal, but whatever. That's one option that if he really, really tried, he really searched, and he spent his whole lifetime searching for it, he has the slightest chance he might find it. But we're not even 100% sure it's real, because where is it? There's not that many places in the world it could be. Another option, and this is going to sound really weird, is Jesus' foreskin. I don't even know if I can say that on YouTube. So, essentially, it is a part of Jewish custom to circumcise their baby boys when they're born, and Jesus was no exception because he was, in fact, Jewish. And so it was kept according to history because it's Jesus. Of course you'd keep it, I guess. And so basically, somebody kept it and it got passed down through time. People used to parade it around town, and the Vatican called it sacrilegious and blasphemous because it was like worshipping an idol, but it was literally the foreskin of Jesus. The Vatican confiscated it, but then, like not too long ago, the Vatican lost it, and also we don't really know if that foreskin is 100% Jesus' foreskin. So there's a lot of variables going around that, hey, this could possibly be, this could possibly be, but Jesus Christ cannot possibly be in Clone High. Scientifically, we do not have any way of getting his DNA. It was 2023 years ago that he was born, which means most likely a lot of his DNA did not survive, and hypothetically, if we were to get a hold of his DNA somehow, I have a feeling we would not be able to replicate it and make a clone, because, like, if it is Jesus, I have a feeling it wouldn't be possible. Like, no offense, but I know we can clone sheep and stuff, but Jesus won't be the same, and I have a feeling God will strike them down somehow.
How dare you!
A lot of this is just not possible, and I understand. Hey, it is a show, it's fiction, but I also know that it isn't possible if this were to be replicated in real life. I don't believe we have the technology to fully clone a human just yet, and that's alright. We don't need to do that because there are plenty of horror sci-fi movies that warn against that. And it's also not like all of these clones that we know for 100% certain, their remains are nowhere to be found. They're gone, they're destroyed or something, or they've been cremated, that it's just not possible to get these clones cloned. Like, I know Joan of Arc, I believe she was cremated. We have her cremated ashes, but there's no way we can get DNA out of that because it was burnt. She is literally a burnt hunk of ashes. There's basically no way you can get DNA from cremated ashes unless there's some weird fluke and you manage to get it. So how in the world did Principal Scudworth get any of these clones? I have a theory, and it's gonna sound dumb because I'm just throwing it out in the open with like no speculation other than the fact that he cannot get these clones scientifically, historically, and just physically unable to get these clones. I have a feeling that he just got random people's DNA and said, hey, you're Joan of Arc, you're Jesus Christ, you're so-and-so, and had them grow up to believe it. Hypothetically, you are so-and-so, and they embody it because it's all they've been told. You're a clone of this important figure in history. And I do believe that some of the clones are actual clones of these figures like Frida Kahlo, JFK, Abraham Lincoln, where you can easily access their DNA because they're buried somewhere that's we can just dig up and extract, and their DNA hasn't like wasted away with time. People like Moses, where it's been literally like 8,000, 10,000 years since they've been dead, and we don't know exactly where they're buried. It's just not that possible. So people like that and people who have been cremated, it's most likely that those aren't the clones of their clone mothers and fathers. So Joan of Arc is not really a clone of Joan of Arc, is what I'm saying, because the real Joan of Arc was cremated. I'm not saying she doesn't embody Joan of Arc or she doesn't think she's Joan of Arc. She feels in her heart she's Joan of Arc, and that makes her Joan of Arc. She just doesn't share DNA with Joan of Arc, and this is all confusing. I understand I'm confusing myself right now because I'm rambling. These clones are just not possible to get, especially Jesus Christ, because some people will be like, he's not real, and some people will be like, he is real, and I'm not going to share my opinion on that because it's none of your business. We're going to say the Clone High universe, there is Jesus Christ, because why else would there be a Jesus Christ clone? But it's also, we know that's not possible because I went through the options of any source of Jesus' DNA, and it is not possible to get it. So, in the Clone High universe, if there is Jesus, that's not Jesus, that's Jesus Cristo. I don't know who that is. Yo no conozco a Jesus Cristo. Sorry. Lo siento. I'm not really bilingual. I speak a little bit of Spanish, but that's all. In conclusion, Principal Scudworth is a very crazy man, and I love him. He's such a great character, but he lied to those clones about who they are. Jesus Cristo is not a clone of Jesus Christ. Joan of Arc, not a clone of Joan of Arc. Cleopatra, most likely not a clone of Cleopatra. These people, these clones, they've been lied to. It was never possible in the first place for Principal Scudworth to get their DNA. It is just a theory about the fact that Principal Scudworth lied to them and all that, but I'm just thinking from like a realistic standpoint and from just history in general and the intense Google searching I've done over the past week of where these clones were buried, like every single clone in Clone High, where they've been buried, and a lot of them, they're easy to get. Like John Quincy Adams, he's buried in United First Parish Church in Quincy, Massachusetts. George Washington in George Washington's Mount Vernon in Mount Vernon, Virginia. Principal Scudworth has lied to everybody, but that's okay. After all, I am just a silly little person with a silly little life who likes to research and can't for the life of them figure out how in the world Principal Scudworth got a Jesus Christ clone. Again, still just a theory, and I really do want to keep making these kind of like theory videos, theory videos, where I just kind of ramble about what I like, my opinion on something. Like, I do truly believe that it isn't possible for him to get these clones, because it isn't. Scientifically, it isn't. Historically, it isn't. There's just so many ways it is impossible for him to get them. And I want to keep talking about things like this. I love Clone High. I love Total Drama. What else do I like? I love FNAF. I love Undertale. Anything Machine. Shit like that. Hell of a Boss. I am hype. I have so many special interests, I can't control it at this point. I like these little egg boys from the QSMP. I really do want to talk about all kinds of things, and I want to be able to do it, but I also want to know what you guys want to hear about. So that's why I have a video ideas form in the description if you feel like filling it out, in case somebody has a better idea than I am, because right now I'm currently running low on ideas. This was like a last spur of the minute decision. I was like, holy crap. How does he even get Jesus Christ? And so yeah, let me know your ideas down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, fill out that form, comment, whatever you feel like doing, and you all have a good day. Bye!
Abe, you know what you have to do.
You're right.
I'm an ordinary guy in an ordinary world. Sing an ordinary song.
Dude, that was not cool. Not cool.